For the last few weeks over Advent, we have been studying Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, which is a single verse of Scripture that expresses by the prophet the powerful names of the coming King, whom we know as Yeshua, Jesus, our Messiah and Lord. But the prophecy that took place over 700 years before the birth of Christ has a way of expressing to us the powerful implications of what it means for a Savior to come, for a child to come, and in flesh reveal to us the incredible aspect of God's nature and the love of God toward all of humanity. We looked at, over the course of these last few weeks, the name Wonderful Counselor. And we talked about how God is for us an extraordinary strategist, how God is able to work in our life and work in such a way that whatever may be going on in our life at any given moment, the Lord is able to work through that and in that and bring about something good, even though at the moment we may not see it as such. This is the story of Christmas. Then we talked about Him being a mighty God. This name that is given to this King that we come to worship and to adore. He is a mighty God who is able to deliver His people and set us free from all those things that oppress us or that distract us from not only living out our life in a fruitful way for the glory of God, but in some measure, in some way, maybe we are struggling in our own personal life to find some hope or some answer to some situation that we find ourselves in. He is the mighty God, and His ways and His plans are not exhausted simply because logically we may not be able to figure out how to solve some problem or challenge that we're going through. Then we talked about Him being the everlasting Father. How from the very beginning of time, God, when He created humanity in His own image, set His love and affection on us. And that love that God established from the very beginning in the foundation of the earth has and will continue, not only all throughout the lifetime of each of us, but throughout all of eternity. That God was there when we drew our first breath. God will be there with us in love when we draw our last breath. And the plans that God has for us beyond what we see with our natural eye are infinite in their creativity and in their gift to us as God's people. And tonight I want to talk for a moment about the Prince of Peace. The Prince of Peace. Because this title of Jesus probably means as much to us as any, especially in a world like ours that is fraught with conflict, from Afghanistan to every other place that we can name. And even in our own nation on this night, the conflicts that rage throughout the streets of our own country. And I don't know what you're getting for Christmas. I don't know what you want for Christmas. But I would tell you this, I bet everybody here could use a little bit of peace in their life. And a little bit of peace in their family. A little bit of peace in their heart or mind. And this is always a big challenge for me, because while I know that in my mind and in my heart, Jesus is called the Prince of Peace, this time of the year for me, a preacher, is probably one of the busiest and most active times of any throughout the year. There's so much going on that surround the month of December. And in thinking about this a few years ago, I started getting Christmas cards like we do, where you see on the front cover is this beautiful scene, a manger scene and a stable scene, and all of the figures in the manger just seem to be so at peace. You know what I'm saying? They just seem to be so at ease, and everything looks so placid and so peaceful. And there's been a lot of times when I've just wanted to jump right into the picture and just be a part of it. I don't know if you've ever felt like that yourself. I know that that's not the way it was, and you know that. This was a human family under incredible circumstances, Mary and Joseph, at a time whenever conflict was all over their region and their world as well. There was a king who was making decisions about taxes and moving people around from here and there. So I was, a few years ago, looking at some of the pictures that people had sent me, and I know the truth behind the pictures that you send, okay? I know that one snapshot may look absolutely beautiful, but I know what you had to go through to get everybody lined up and everybody in place. Am I right? Yes. You don't have to answer that. It takes a lot to get everybody organized, so a few years ago I was at another church, and the UMW, the United Methodist Women, had purchased some life-size figurines for a stable that the Methodist men had built to put on the highway out front. Put hay in it. It was awesome. It was beautiful. The kings, the magi were huge. They were really tall which is not saying much for me, but they were really, really tall. And all the cameras and all the other things that went along with the figurine set. I mean, life size. So one day I was just wrestling with all of the stuff going on, all the responsibilities related to the holiday season. And one day I saw one too many of the pictures that came across about the manger scene. And I said, I'm going to jump into that manger scene. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go out there and lay in that manger, in the hay, and just around all of these figurines and be at peace like they seem to be in this picture. So I went out. I was just going to spend a few moments there, just a little bit of time there, just meditating and thinking about it. As soon as I got in the hay, our Cocker Spaniel comes running over and jumps in the hay with me. And I try to get the dog out, and then our neighbor's lab, big black lab, comes over, who's a friend of our Cocker Spaniel, comes over, and this guy chooses to use the stable as a restroom there while I'm in the thing, okay? And I'm trying to get the dogs out so I can be at peace on earth, you know what I'm saying? Have just a little bit of peace on earth and goodwill toward people. And so I'm lying there, and then all of a sudden, around my ankles, it felt like just fiery needles sticking in my ankles all over. I was sitting in a fire ant bed, and I didn't even realize it. There was no peace on earth for me, I promise you. So I got up, and I came back inside, and for me, the peace on earth and the silent night and all of that was over with, I'm telling you. I share that story with you to say that sometimes in our lives we make an assumption that the Holy Family that we have come to acknowledge tonight, this gift that God has given us through the birth of Christ, He didn't come into a family or into a world where everything was worked out and perfect. It didn't happen. It just didn't happen. No matter how many pictures we have of that, that was not the case. It was a very messy situation that Jesus came into. When they came into Bethlehem, it was a difficult and trying and challenging experience for that family, like it is for many of us, many of our families. Our son, a few years ago, he and his wife, they came over to where we were. Our daughter was snapping pictures of them, and they went all the different places, taking the pictures, getting all these little kids lined up, and they had some small children. And I have on my cabinet in my office a picture that they took at that time. And I knew that that photo that they took at that moment was just a snapshot in time, and the reality behind it was very different than what I saw on the picture there. And I brought with me a picture. This picture I keep on the shelf in my office. It is of Maya, our granddaughter. They had just received a puppy chocolate lab. And they had been taking pictures all day, trying to get him in just the right pose, trying to get him just set up just exactly right. And my daughter snapped this picture right at the right time. This is a picture of Maya right here. She's had all the photo ops that she wanted, I'm telling you. But this dog sensed her, I guess, her weariness, and reaches over and licks her on the cheek at just the right time. And my daughter happened to be snapping the picture. She didn't know that was going to happen. What I'm saying to you is I know the truth behind this picture, okay? It's a precious picture to me, but I know that it took a lot to get that to take place. And for us, the good news of the gospel that we come to celebrate tonight is that in the messiness of our life, even though there may be a few moments where we have some snapshots where everything seems to be calm, all is bright, and it's a silent night. The truth of the matter is that many of our lives, like our world, sometimes are in turmoil, and challenges and difficulties abound everywhere. And I'm reminded of something that Kimberly Bracken Long wrote when she said, "It is tempting to imagine that the human predicament, whether we define that as the state of our warring world or the state of our broken lives, can never really be healed or overturned. Yet Luke tells us that not only is redemption possible, it has already happened because of the birth, life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. The Holy continues to break into our lives to bring us closer to the completion of creation and the already and not yet reign of God." This is the good news of the gospel for us tonight, dear friends. The already and not yet aspect of His reign as the Prince of Peace. The Hebrew word for prince is sar. The word for peace is shalom, which means a wholeness, a completeness. And this sar means king. It means Lord. It means ruler. It means the one who is over everything. is the one who is over all things. He has come among us, and by Him coming among us, He has initiated a reign of peace. Even though we may not know it in our life at this moment, or in our family, or even in our world, what Christ has come to bring is the good news and the hope that God has given and promised all of us. And through faith in Him, we're able to experience on this night a wonderful gift from God. A peace that passes our ability to explain or understand. And you may have a lot of turmoil going on. You may have a lot of challenges and difficulties going on. That's a part of the life that we live on this earth. But I'm here to tell you that the Prince of Peace has come. And when He came, He didn't come to negotiate a peace treaty. He didn't come to do that. He came to offer us peace. And what we need is an unconditional surrender to Him in order to find the peace that we long for so much. Because that peace that we're looking for won't come until there is an unconditional surrender on our part, and we give up those aspects of our life that we've either tried to control or change or make different. He doesn't mind coming into the messiness. That is the proof of what this night is about. So open your hearts up to Him and let the Prince of Peace come in.